The pleasure principle is our basic tendency to seek pleasure and avoid pain. We gravitate toward thoughts that are pleasing, and avoid thinking about anything that is unpleasant. This desire runs quietly in the background while it influences our thinking. However, there are also explosive emotions that are triggered suddenly by certain people or events. A person gets under your skin, and a strong emotion is sparked. You can't stop thinking about it, and the more you think about it, the stronger it gets. Everything begins to remind you of your anger as you become reactive. The pressure builds until you can't stand it. You lose control and explode, doing something reckless you later regret. If we want to be more rational, we must be aware of our own personal trigger points, and strategize to avoid them. And at the same time, it is wise to recognize trigger points in others, so we can stay clear of them to avoid trouble. Here are 5 common emotional trigger points we all need to be aware of. Trigger number 1. Trigger points from early childhood. As children, we are impressionable and vulnerable. And early influences, positive and negative, often stay with us for the rest of our life, buried deep within our minds. Certain events will trigger a memory from our childhood and we react with sudden irrational emotion. We are misreading the present, by subconsciously reacting to something that happened in our childhood. You can recognize this in yourself and others by looking for any sudden, out-of-character, childlike emotion. Overreacting, unreasonable accusations, withdrawing from others, tears, deep depression, uncontrollable primal emotion. There can even be childlike body language and tone of voice. These emotional reactions are often patterns that repeat in a person's life. If you recognize these signs in yourself, step back and distance yourself from the emotion. Spend time thinking of any possible wounds from early childhood that could be the source. It takes self-awareness and deep reflection to understand yourself this well. Freeing your mind of these childhood trigger points is a critical step toward becoming rational. Trigger number 2. Sudden gains or losses. The emotional high of sudden success is exhilarating, often to the point of being dangerous. We can let our success go to our head, forgetting the role luck played in our good fortune. Or that lasting success only comes from hard work. We may begin to think we are invincible and cannot lose. So we get sloppy, overextend ourselves and take unnecessary risk. A string of losses can be devastating. We think we have become cursed and will never win again. We become hesitant, fearful and start making uncharacteristic mistakes. The solution is to counterbalance the high of unusual success with a bit of sober pessimism. And to balance hard losses with some common sense optimism. Trigger number 3. Rising pressure. Stress has a powerful effect on our bodies and minds and can bring out negative aspects of our true nature. Personality flaws that have been hidden for years can flare up under intense stress. The pressure of stress or threat activates a primitive part of our brain, making it a challenge to stay rational. All of us will have some emotional leakage when under stress. That bottled up pressure has to go somewhere. Lashing out in anger, paranoia, exaggerated fear and suspicion. Irritability, and quick frustration are all signs of not handling pressure well. When feeling overwhelmed, spend time alone to reflect on your situation and gain perspective. With self-awareness and perspective, you can prevent yourself from doing something you will regret later. Trigger number 4. Inflaming individuals. Some people, by their very nature, arouse powerful emotions in other people. These are polarizing types that everyone seems to either love or hate. They have a degree of charisma that draws attention, and drama is never far away. Some inflamers are good at expressing their emotions in a way that stirs up similar emotions in others. Then there are the inflamers that are outright narcissistic, and project their internal drama outward, stirring up trouble. Once you recognize this type, they are easy to spot. Everyone has a reaction to these people, and that reaction tends to be irrational. They have an obsessive quality that keeps you thinking about them even when they are not around. Distance yourself from these people. If you can't get away from them, see through the larger-than-life image they project. Recognize it's all a facade, they are just human, full of weakness and insecurities like the rest of us. And finally, trigger number 5. The group effect. When we are in a large group, we can get caught up in a mob mentality. Notice how you feel or how people react at a large sporting event, concert, religious or political rally. Something primal takes over and it's easy to get caught up in the collective spirit of the crowd. And keep in mind, this mob does not have to be physically present, it can occur virally over social media platforms. A group mentality can be channeled into something positive, or something negative and dangerous. If you feel hateful or aggressive emotions of outrage being stirred within you, it's better to stay away from these group gatherings, so you can maintain your reasoning powers. Also avoid political or media leaders who exploit the group effect by stirring up emotion, rather than appealing to reason. Be skeptical of a leader who constantly tries to stir up emotions of panic, urgency or outrage. Your most precious possession is your ability to think for yourself. Refuse any encroachment upon your independent mind by others. Emotional triggers can lead to high-grade irrationality. When our emotions become inflamed, our minds can become consumed with our anger, excitement, suspicion or resentment. We see everything through the lens of these heightened emotions and we become reactive. Highly sensitive and quick to react with uncontrollable emotion, this type of irrationality is very dangerous. Becoming aware of these potential trigger points, we can take steps to avoid them. Understanding how this high-grade irrationality works, we can recognize when entering a reactive state and calm ourselves down before we do something we will regret.